Hey guys, welcome to our bi-weekly property talk show. My name is Wing Hon. So the goal for this live show is to actually help those people to get the right house for money generating purpose and also for own stay purpose as well. So our topic for tonight is, should you be buying a Lelong or a brand new house? All right. So before we start to discuss this topic, just let us know which will be your choice. Will you choose Lelong or brand new house? Just type it on the comment box below. Okay. So let us welcome Ernest, the head of the property advisor divisions, to the show. Hi, Ernest.
Hi, Wing Hon. Hi, how are you? Wing Hon, before you actually ask them to choose whether it's a brand new property or is it an auction property, maybe one of the questions that you want to define further is whether the brand new property is a property that's already available to move in or something that's only going to be available, say, 3 years down the road. Maybe that will help our viewers to determine which one will be their choice.
Again, so is it like a house that already completed or like a house that is going to complete in the next like 3-4 years?
Yeah, because developers, when they sell houses, they may not necessarily have the houses yet. The houses may only be ready maybe 3 years down the road. But a brand new house can mean two different things. One is available immediately, one is not available until it's built. Whereas auction property is already available now. You can move in today, kind of thing.
I'm just going to type in the questions on the comment box. Wait, All right, guys. So we're just gonna wait for a bit more to wait for those to join. I know like it's 7 p.m. Some of you guys are maybe just on the way driving back home. Or I'm pretty sure that there won't be any traffic jam right now. Because of the PKPB thingy. Yeah.
How's the situation in Malaysia right now?
Yeah, it's okay. Today I have not get the news like how much is the case. Like yesterday was 800 plus, and we have 2 days they have 1,000 plus. Yeah. How is everything over Australia though?
Australia is now getting ready to go into, I believe, spring/summer. So the temperatures around about 20, 21 Celsius during the afternoons, and then evenings it drops down to about 18. But you can already see that some of the people are getting ready for summer already. A lot of the commercials on TV actually start talking about summer vacations, barbecues. The situation here in certain states is also quite bad in a sense because of the cases, of the COVID cases. But I think the governments are a little bit different in the way that they're handling it. In the morning when I poke my head out, I don't see everybody in masks. In fact, some of them actually don't have masks walking around. So it's a bit different. But over here in Adelaide per se, it's actually quite okay. I see that people are just moving about like normal.
Yeah. Do you know like what is how much is the cases over there in Australia?
Whoa, I'm afraid I don't have the numbers offhand. But from the news the reports that I read, I think they're dealing more with extreme weather out in the East Coast. I think there's typhoons blowing. So the COVID cases here, I think for the state of Victoria has been 0 cases for the last 2 days or something like that. So no new infection. So people are a bit more concerned. When people walk, I also see that there's a bit distance. They don't wear masks, but they're a bit distance from each other.
So I hope that you are safe over there.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so now let's get back to our topic. So first thing first, I want to hear from the expert like yourself. What is your take on buying a Lelong or Niha? Because I have not buy any house before, so I cannot give any opinion on this. Yeah, so what is your take on this?
Okay, let me probably just recap back in terms of what the product is that we're talking about in our discussion this evening. We're talking about auction properties. Now, auction properties are usually, in Malaysia particularly, they are distressed properties, meaning that the borrower who bought the properties can't repay for the properties, and therefore the financier has taken the action against the owner to put the properties on auction in order to reclaim back their money. So that one is mainly a distress-based property auction. And usually when properties go for such auctions, they basically will be bidded, or people who are interested will be able to participate and bid. And essentially what will happen is that when they bid at a price that is above the minimum reserve price set by the real, I would use the word real owner because the financier is the real owner. The person who signs the SPA, even though that's the real owner, theoretically, the beneficial owner, is actually the one that owns the loan that the financier took to actually purchase the property. So in this particular case, the person who lent the money has legal right first. Now, that is distress-based auction properties. The second one, when you say brand new properties or sub-sale properties per se, these are the properties that are already for brand new properties can either be completed properties. That means the developer has already finished building them, but these are balance stocks, and this is available for sale. So if you qualify to buy, qualify to borrow, all you have to do is just sign the SPA, get the loan done, and once all that paperwork is done, you literally can take your bags and move in. But properties that are under construction, which means that if you go and sign the SPA today, the properties are not ready yet until they are built and until the CCC or the vacant possession is available. And once the vacant possession is available, then only you get the keys to move in. So that can take up to 36 months to actually move in. So to answer your question, which is better, which is not better, it also depends on the buyer. What is the purpose of the buyer buying property? If the person who's buying property needs to use the property immediately, buying an under construction product is not going to work because that under construction product is going to take time for the product to be delivered. Buying an auction property, although you can see the property that's there, but once you actually win the bid, once you actually buy the auction property, you then need to go and access the property to make sure that it's available for you to move in. Sometimes that could be a challenge as well, meaning you don't know what the condition of the property is because properties under auction is slightly different than properties under subsale. Let me give you an example. So Wei Hon, just say for instance, you want to buy my property and I'm a person, a house owner that I want to sell. So it's a normal sales and purchase. So we make an arrangement through either a real estate agent or you know me directly. You come to my house, I show you the house, I let you see, and you can literally just physically inspect the property itself. But for auction property, what you can do is just see it from the outside. You can't go in. So you're unable to take a physical tour inside the property to ascertain or to determine whether the condition of the property inside the locked apartment or house is actually as per your expectation. Because if you open the door and all of a sudden you realize, wow, there's so much work that needs to be done. The painting has come off, there's flooding, there's ponding, the toilets are damaged. If there's anything or if there's any structural damage to the property, you need to make good first before you are able to stay in the property. So that's the other risk for auction-based properties. But having said that, you can probably get some good deals in auction because the good deals here means that the prices that you pay may be cheaper than buying a brand new property. So it depends on the use of the buyer. So to answer your question in a very short way is, it depends on what you are looking for. If you're looking for something that you need to use immediately, then chances are the bill to be handled later is the furthest one away from where you can move into. The auction property looks as though it's quite quick if you can resolve the financing. Buying from the neighbor or buying from a friend or buying from a subsale could be just as long as well. It depends on how much work you need to do before you move into the house. But by and large, if it is not under duress, that means if you don't have a motivation to sell, chances are you hold on to the price. So coming back to the example we talked about earlier, Wing Hon, you want to buy my house. So just say I love the house and I don't have any more loan for the house. So if I tell you my house price is 500,000 and you say, no, Ernest, I want to pay only 450, then I say, no, 500 is 500. I've got no motivation to drop my price because I don't necessarily need the money to do what I need to do next because it's fully paid up. But if I have a loan that is outstanding or if I have a critical need for the money, I may be motivated to say, I tell you what, Wing Hon, you are 450, I'm 500, we meet halfway, 475. Can we agree? So that's another one. Or if it's an auction-based property, there's no negotiation. You just wait for the auction price to come down. So you're bidding against other people. So if your buying price is 450 and the market price is 500, I may be your competitor. I say 451, which is higher than your 450. So I may get it before you. So during an auction, that's the risk that somebody may outbid you. Yeah.
So for what I understand is that, I mean, in order to buy a Lelong house, we have to prepare like 10% of the check of the deposit, right? I mean, to
Yes.
buy a Lelong house. So
Yes.
after you pay, how it should work? I mean, this is what I know. So after you pay, if someone bought a house and it's not you, then you cannot get back your deposit or something like that. Is that
No.
true or no?
No, that's incorrect, Wei Hon. So again, just say for instance, you, me, and another person, Mr. X, goes for an auction. In order to bid for that property, we all three need to have a check, a banker's draft, to make sure that if we win, we immediately can pay. Okay, so if for instance you have won, your check or your banker's draft will be immediately taken, and then you have a certain period to settle the balance payment. But because I didn't win and Mr. X didn't win, we can take the check back and go and cash it. Go back to our banks and cross the bank draft to basically get the money back into our accounts. This basically is the mechanism to make sure that the people who go for auction actually have the capacity to buy the property instead of wasting people's time. The other thing is that when you go to an auction and when you bid and you win, there is a certain period where you need to pay the balance 90%. If you do not pay within the 90%, there could be penalty as well within a certain period of time. Okay, so when people go for auction, they have to know that A, they have enough deposit, and B, they actually need to know that they can get the balance if they win. Okay, if you get if you win the bid and then you start applying for the loan after that, and you don't know whether you can or cannot, the loan process may take a bit longer. It may breach the period that's allowed, and that may cause you problems. Yeah, so you got to be careful about that.
Okay, so for example, if the house is like 200K, so for example, if the deposit is 10%, so I have to ready 20K first.
Yeah.
And I also have to make sure that I can pay 180,000 as well with my cash.
It's either with your cash or you can borrow the money. And you need to make sure that you have access to it, because if you cannot get it, your 10% is forfeited.
If I cannot get the bank loan, or if I cannot get the balance deposit, I mean the balance money,
balance payment.
then, wow.
Yeah, so you got to be very careful. Yeah, when you go and do this, because this is actually quite serious. It means that you have the financial capacity. See, the other thing is this, Wing Hon, that we haven't talked about this in great detail. Let's leave auction property aside for a moment. Let's just talk about brand new from the developer and also subsale, that means buying from your neighbor. One of the challenges is that when you look at a $200,000 price tag, let's use your example, 200,000. When I'm your neighbor, I want to sell my house for 200,000, and you are the neighbor, you want to buy my house. So the standard is 10% down payment. So you pay me 20,000 ringgit. Then in 90 days, you need to pay me the 180,000. If you don't pay the 180,000, then I forfeit your 10%. That is a standard subsale mechanism. Okay. Now the challenge is that in a subsale, it's not the only cost that you need to pay, because there are other costs as well. You need to do the SPA costs. You also need to do the checking of the valuation, because if you're going to the bank and the bank needs to do a loan application process for you, the bank will need to do a valuation as well. The cost of the valuation you have to bear as well. And then on top of the cost of the valuation and on top of the cost of the SPA, you also need to cover the other costs as well, like for instance, land title search, just to make sure. So all these costs, when you add in, comes up to about 5% of the value of the property. So if it's 200,000, you need to prepare another 10,000 cash. Okay, and that doesn't mean that that's everything as well, because when you come to my house and you just say you're successful and you buy the house, and then you realize, Ernest, the color of your room are really thorough, your toilet are really leaking here and there. So you need to pay for touch up, you need to pay for renovation, you need to pay for repairs. If you want a better kitchen, you may have to pay for kitchen cabinet. So there may be another 20, 30,000 there as well. So when you buy a sub-sale property from someone else, you cannot just have the 10%. You need to have between 10 and 40% just to make sure that you're able to cover all the costs and make the property ready for you to move in. But when you buy a brand new property from a developer that's building it, most of the time what the developers do is the SPA is complimentary. That means it's put into the cost of the property itself. They say it's free SPA, but the price is already inside. Free MOT, memorandum of transfer, is also inside. So those are the things that they already have covered. And then the valuation is already done because the banker that's financing has already done their valuation as well. So you don't need to pay that. So when a developer sells a $200,000 property and you come up with 10%, 20,000, that's all you have to pay. There's nothing else that you have to pay for. So it's a bit different. So that's from the developer who's building and from the sub-sale. Now, sub-sale is split again into two. One is from the owner that sells, the neighbor that sells. One is from the auction. So when you talk about these two, I've just identified as well, the mechanism is roughly the same. You need the 10%. And then after that, when you get the 10%, you need to settle the difference of the 90% within a certain period of time. And after you get the property, you may need some more cash to do the other things as well. Renovation, you may have to do some cleaning. You may need to also do some repair work as well. So those are the things that take on the added cost that you need to have a bit more money rather than just have the initial 20,000 only.
So so one is Lelong 200K and one is a brand new is 200K as well. Okay. So in what sort of situations that a person will rather choose Lelong instead of the new one?
Well, I think Lelong properties have a benefit of it as well because let me give an example why I would think a Lelong property would be interesting to me. Leaving money aside, meaning that assuming that I have enough budget to either buy brand new, buy a sub-sale, or buy a Lelong. So assuming that I have enough money for all three, which one should I choose? Now, a brand new property may be in an area where it is further away because of the price point, but the Lelong property is in already an established area or in an area where there's already buildings there already. That means the property has been there for some time. There may be other developments there as well. So I get to see it. I get to see the traffic flow. I get to see the people who are there. Let me give you an example. So let's use the example of, say, Taman Tun. If you want to buy a brand new project in Taman Tun, very difficult because there are very, very few that's brand new project. I think there's only one currently that's there. But in a very established area, there's no more new project. So if you like the established area and you want to stay in the established area, you either have to buy sub-sale, or if you're able to find an auction-based property, you may be able to buy an auction property in that established area as well. So these properties don't come up usually. And this may be because you like the location or you know the location, you may find it's attractive. So that's the main difference between auction, sub-sale, and also brand new projects. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like so there's really on like depends what sort of goal do you want to achieve, then you choose whatever property that you want. So if as your example, if the place that you really love, but there aren't any new projects coming up, so you will choose to go for Lelong houses if there is any.
In a sense, yes, as well, because you look, if I'm a first-time buyer or if I'm buying for my own stay, I may look for a location where I really like, but there are not too many new developments over there, or I really like the type of home that's on auction. But if it is a location, but if it is like, for instance, for investment purposes, if the place has a lot of potential in renters, I may look at a Lelong property as a way to generate income very quickly because I know what to do. I know who to rent it out to. So it depends on the purpose. So we started off by asking which type of property to buy, and I answered by saying, what's the purpose? If your purpose is to stay, then the question is, how soon do you need the property? If the purpose is for investment, the question is, how much money do I need to put in order to make a return? And what is a potential return? And the potential return will depend on how much rental I can get. How much capital appreciation will there be over time? But the cash flow from the rental is going to be able to determine whether it's a good investment or not. Again, coming back to the example, say Taman Tun, if I can find a property that is, say, 10, 15, 20% below market, I would hardly expect a property in Taman 2 to come down that price. But if it is under Lelong, 10, 20, 30% below what other places are selling for in Taman 2 itself, if I were to buy it, then I would have to go and renovate it to make sure it looks good and then rent it out. Because my cost of entry is slightly lower than the other people around the area, a lower rental yield may be able to make me have a break-even faster, a break-even point faster. So because of that, an auction property may sound very interesting if there's nobody else also bidding. That means I have no competitors bidding for it. So in your example just now, when you say 500,000, you want to bid 500, I bid 510,000. By paying 10,000 more, I win the bid and you lose the opportunity to own that property. So everybody has a different price point. That's why it makes it very challenging for auction to make sure that you actually win. That's a challenge.
So like for a person that is first time buying a house, and he is thinking like should I be going for Lelong or new house? And this Lelong house, is really under market price. So should this person, go after Lelong for his own stay? Should he like go after Lelong because it's lower than the market price now, or should he be like buy a new house instead?
Okay. I guess one of the ways to explain this further is to look at it from a very economic situation or a mathematics situation. So assuming that the person who buys this property, you said is for own stay, but you didn't tell me whether the own stay needs immediate. That means I need within 6 months, I need to stay in this property. Or within 3 years, when I get married, then only I stay in this property. Because the time duration has an input towards this decision. But assuming that it's for my own stay, it's somewhere within 6 months to 1 year, it's not immediate. So should I buy a Lelong, or should I buy a subsale, or should I buy a brand new property as my first property? That's what you're asking me, right? Okay, so what I would use to determine which is the best answer is that, number one, assuming that the Lelong property, the brand new property, and the subsale property are all very close to each other. So location is the same. Let's just assume that, okay? So the location is someplace that I like. Let's also assume that the size is also the same. And the price of brand new, just say, is 500. The price of subsale, that means buying from the neighbor, is say 480. And the Lelong, we say below market, is about 450. That means 450 to 480 is below market, right? And then 480 to 500 is the brand new product. So the price between the Lelong and the brand new product is 50,000. Let's just say that as an example. What I would do is I would go to the area. I would take a look at the Lelong property. I would try to go and look at the neighbors' houses or the neighbors' property to have a feel. What does the interior of the Lelong property look like? And then in my mind, I have to assume, okay, if I need to change the pipe, if I need to change the kitchen, if I need to change the kitchen cabinet, if I need to do renovation, if I need to do painting again, roughly how much cost would it be? So if I know that the Lelong price is 450 and my cost is 20,000, so 450 plus 20 is 470. Oh, not bad. 470 is still lesser than buying from the neighbor at 480. So then, okay, maybe this could be a way out. But then I also have to assume, what if my assumption is wrong and the renovation work is even more expensive? Then how much would it cost? If 450 plus another 100, it makes it 550,000. I might as well just buy subsale, talk to the person, my neighbor who wants to sell, look at the house there, say, hey, I give you 480, like you count them all of these things first, can or not? So that could be another way out. So I have to look at the numbers. But just say, for instance, the Lelong property, the number is kind of feng shui number that you like. So there's no other number in that place that has the same number. So you must have that number. Then you have to assume, okay, if it goes beyond, the renovation goes beyond 500,000, are you still willing to pay or not? And that's also assuming that you win the bidding at 450. Because when you go to an auction, the price starts at 450. It doesn't mean that that's the 450 price. Because if you get somebody else say, hey, 460, 470, 480, 490, then what happens? All your calculation is out already. So these are the things that you need to prepare for before you go for auction. Similarly for subsale, just say for instance, you want to buy, you are selling the house. So Wei Hon say you want to sell a house for 480,000. I come and say, Wei Hon, I love your house. Can you do your renovation? Listen, I don't like your kitchen. You just change your kitchen, I pay you 480. So you have an offer from me for 480, but you must do the kitchen. Then Mr. X comes and say, Leon, 475, don't do anything. Why I cut 5,000 is because I need to do the kitchen. Who would you sell to? If you know that the cost of kitchen is say 10,000. You take the 475, don't do anything, or you take the 480, you still do the kitchen for me. Which one would you take as a seller?
Of course, the one that do everything for me lah. Right.
Correct, lor? Exactly. So basically, the person who offer you more will win the deal. It's the same for auction as well, because the person selling the auction is not the owner, it's not the person staying in the property, it's the banker. So the banker will want to sell it. So if the banker say 450 is the minimum price, everybody bids higher and higher. The banker is also take, please continue bidding. So if the price becomes 600,000, just say for some reason it goes to 600,000. So what the bank does is the bank takes its portion, the balance gives back to the person who bought the property originally. So that's how it works.
Also, if the house, I mean the auction price is 450, okay, and the final price for this auction house is 600. So bank will take 450 and then 150 will give to the buyer. I mean the original house buyer, is it?
Yeah, minus all the costs that are associated with the auction. Yeah, the difference will give back to the buyer, the original buyer. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, is there any like good places to look for good quality Lelong houses, no, or we just have to try our luck?
Well, I think a lot of it is try a lot, because buying a property is not something that is a situation where you can afford to make mistakes. I mean, if you buy the wrong handphone, even though it's expensive, you buy the wrong handphone. Just like me, I bought a wrong handphone before because it was not on Android, it was not on the Apple Play Store. It was some really weird app store. And as a result, I couldn't have any apps, very limited apps. And I thought myself, you got smartphone, but I bought the wrong one. So what do? I have two choices. Either I return it or try to upgrade it by returning it, which is impossible, or just suffer, use the smartphone as just a handphone, and that's it, and then buy another phone. There's very little choice. But the mistake was less than 1,000 ringgit. But if you buy a wrong property and it's 200,000, 300,000 ringgit, can you afford to make the mistake? If you cannot get a rental, you cannot stay in it, you cannot sell it, you're going to be in trouble. I was just having a chat with a friend of mine yesterday. He bought a property. Actually, he works in KL City Center, near KLCC. He works there. He's not married yet, but he works there. And he bought his place slightly further away, thinking that, wow, he really likes the location. When he goes there, he feels very calm, it's very relaxing. So when the property was surrendered, that means he got a key already. He moved in last year in September. Then he realized, come to work every day, come back and forth. There's no public transport, there's no train. He has to take the bus. But taking the bus is very long, so he drives. To drive from his property that he bought to KL City Center, 1 hour, 30 minutes, one way. 2 ways, if there's a flood, 3 hours, 4 hours.
What, because of jam or what?
Because of the jam. So now he's like, oh my gosh, good location, I get to relax, but I can't travel every day like this because I just don't have the time. So when he tried to rent out the property, cannot find tenant because it's a new project. So it's still very new. A lot of places also for rent, so the pricing is a little bit soft right now. So what happened in the end? He rents a room in town. Weekday he stay there. Weekend he go back to his house. Then also he felt really tired. Why do I go back just on the weekend to clean? Sunday night come back because don't want to tahan the jam on Monday morning. So come back to town. So he rents his room and he also pays the mortgage for the property that he bought. Twice he has to pay. So what is the purpose?
Like, is it like really that cheap for the new house? That's why he, I mean, because I know it's in a KL center, but yeah.
I don't think he bought the place because it was cheap, although I think that was one of the considerations as well. I think his main reason was that he works in town, so it's very hustle and bustle. So he bought somewhere away thinking, I can relax. I see a lot of greens, air is fresher. But then it comes at a cost. What is the cost? Groceries are a bit further away to get. Traffic may be a bit more challenging, especially if there's a flash flood, thunderstorm, or a tree that falls across the highway or something like that. So all these things take into account. With coming to work, you can't tell this is before the CMCO, before before 9 o'clock, you have to be in the office. If work starts at 9 to 5, 9 o'clock, you have to be in the office already. So you can't show up to work at 9:30, 10 o'clock and say, hey, boss, sorry, I got traffic jam. But now, because of CMCO in Malaysia, I think it's a bit more, it's different because you can work from home. So I think working from home that you own or that you live in and you have the whole house, it's offer more flexibility than if you just have one room. You can only use your room. That's a bit more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, back to our question, So if someone want to look for like Lelong houses, where should they look for? Yeah.
There's several places they can look for. The first place they can definitely look for is actually those popular websites where they actually have property listings over there. So they actually have Lelong properties also there from that's quite prominently displayed. So they can contact either the agent that's actually selling the Lelong property to ask for the agent's help to probably even get access to bid, or they can also go to the High Court, because sometimes at the High Court you can actually go see the Lelong properties there. Because they're not very, very common, like buying from the developers, so a lot of people don't have the process. They don't understand how the process actually is. But there are certain books that are already online. There's certain people who speaks about auction properties, and I think Uncle Google, if you go to Uncle Google and say, hey, I want to buy an auction property, how do I do so? Then they will actually come up with a process, what steps that you can take. But the most important thing is to make sure that you have enough financial firepower, meaning your deposit plus the balance plus the renovation and the making. It's called a making good fee. That means you have to have enough to make it livable for you to want to be there. And then there's also other things. So I need to tell you this story because there was one auction property that was in a very popular location in KL. So the auction went on, success. Somebody bought the auction property, they won. So when they got the key, they went in, they opened the door, wow, everything very good. Then they saw a fridge. They opened the fridge, there was a body inside the fridge because it was actually a crime that happened inside the unit and the owner was inside the fridge. So then the property was sealed back again because the police had to come.
Wow.
So auction property comes with a lot of uncertainty because you cannot go in to take a look. That's a challenge.
Yeah, because the thing is that I heard a lot of people says that buying Lelong is a very good way to generate income, because it's under market value and this and that. For people that like me that do not know anything, the process, how the things around buying Lelong property is, for me, like so good kang tao this one, because you buy things that is lower than market price. So as long as I get the house, as long as I can find a house that is low in market price, then the gold mine for me. But
True.
After you saying all the stuff, it's not easy at all.
It's not easy at all. You're absolutely right. Everybody who either you are buying for yourself or you're buying for investment purposes, you all want to buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high is a good strategy if you're able to make sure that the quality is good. Buy low doesn't mean good quality. That's the challenge. And the reason why you're unable to take a look or to determine the quality is because auction property, you cannot go and inspect the property. That is the biggest risk. You can try to go around the area, try to look inside, but you can't get in. And because you can't get in, it may be a bit difficult. And there may be certain challenges whereby the auction property, the person who cannot pay the loan still lives inside. So can you imagine if, let's make this a little bit more realistic. So bring on touch wood. So just say, for instance, your property is on auction. You still live in the property. And I'm wanting to buy a property. So I come to you, hey, sir, can you let me see the property? I want to bid this auction property. And you're staying there, no? Well, how would you feel? I think you take out your knife. Get out of my property, right? Because there's a lot of emotional attachment as well. So those are the challenges when you buy auction property. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. It is possible, but there's a lot of processes. There's a lot of challenges. But just like if you try a few things a few times around and you become very familiar with the processes, it makes it easier for you to do so. But just to have one-time hit and one-time home run, I think a bit challenging. You can get lucky, not to say that's impossible, but it is challenging.
We have, for my opinion, don't buy Lelong house, the people inside home, talk to the family member first, sure one Lelong your house is too pain. Rich people got a lot of money, don't buy poor people house and requesting. Hi, Kesa.
Hi, Kesa. Thanks so much for your question. I understand what you're saying, Kesa, because it is very painful. But to take this question a little bit further, Kesa, or take your opinion a bit further, let me give you another counter perspective. So let's use me as an example. Just say my property I bought for 300,000. Now the property is 400,000. My loan is now 200,000. Okay, so the property price is 400,000. I SPA price 300,000. My loan is 200,000. I cannot pay the loan already because I lost my job or COVID. I cannot repay the moratorium over. I still cannot pay because I don't have enough income to pay. So what happens is that the banks will say, Ernest, since you cannot pay, I have to foreclose your mortgage. So if I foreclose your mortgage, you owe me 200,000. I need to get my 200,000 back. So Ernest says, I have no money to pay you the 200,000, but I know the property is worth 400,000. So between 400 minus 200, there's a profit of 200,000, right? But who's going to give me this 200,000 until I sell the property? But because it goes into Lelong already, I cannot sell. The bank will sell the property. So the bank will say reserve price 200,000. So the reserve price of 200,000 means anybody who bid 200,000, count it. So which means that when the bank said 200,000, so we're going to say you bid 200,000, you win. So you pay the bank 200,000 for something that is worth 400,000. So this is the case whereby you make a lot of money. You pay 200,000 for something worth 400,000. That is if nobody else bids. But just if someone else say, hey, the property price is 400,000. Why should this person win at 200,000? I bid 300,000. Because when you bid 300,000, the property price is 400,000. They still make money, they make 100,000. So it's between you and the other person bidding right now, okay? So in a way, this then satisfies what you were telling me earlier. Good deal, below market price, okay? But to answer Kesa's question here is this. Kesa, if nobody bids, what will happen is that when nobody bids and the bank forecloses, what will happen is the bank say, okay, since 200,000, nobody bid. The next time it come into auction, drop by 10%. So 200,000 minus 10% is 180,000. So open auction again, second round, 180,000. Just say still nobody bid. The third time we come for auction, drop another 10% because that's how it works. It drops 10% every time it goes for auction. So 180 minus 10%, so 180 minus 18,000, I think it's 156, if my mathematics is okay. So the next one is 156,000. Now, what is going to happen is this. If I'm the person who owns the property and I stay there, and just say, Wei Kong say, wow, 156, very good price. I cannot, I must buy. Because at some point, somebody will buy one. Depends on how low it goes. If the price is 156, strike. 156 minus 200,000, shortfall of 44,000 ringgit. Correct? Who pays this 44,000 ringgit, Wei Kong? Ernest told. I still hutang the bank 44. Yes. Not only do I lose the 200,000, the profit, because my hutang is 200,000, the market price is 400,000, I lose this 200,000 gap, I still hutang the bank some more. So in a way, Kesa, I also am at a quandary because it's not just rich people only. It may be just someone who just has that kind of budget for 156,000 to buy. But the person who has to bear the difference is the original owner. So it's very challenging for me to answer the question whether should people bid or not bid, because there's two sides to every story. And if I am the owner staying there, if I cannot get 400,000, I hope to get anywhere from 200 to 400,000. At least I got some profit. But if I cannot even get any profit, I hope it's 200,000. Why? Because if I have this 200,000, the bank gets paid off, I walk away free. I don't hutang any more people. But if it goes below 200,000, I have no house, I have no job, and I still hutang the bank for the property that I bought before. And the new owner enjoys the benefit and the profit. So it's very challenging to answer this question.
But then actually like buying and selling on Lelong houses also got risk for both party, for the one that buy and for the one that sells. So
Yes,
kind of
absolutely.
plan that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So understanding your risk becomes important, and understanding your cash flow becomes important. But there's another way, Kesa. I've seen another, just to answer Kesa's comment over here. I've seen certain people who won auctions with people who live there. So let's use the example that my property auction, I cannot afford to pay, and Wing Hon bought my property. Wing Hon may be an investor or person who says, I don't want to stay there yet. Maybe 1 year I want to stay there. So Ernest, I tell you what, I let you stay in your property, but you must pay rent lah. Because I no longer, as a person who used to own the property, I have to pay monthly installment. But because I cannot pay the monthly installment already, maybe because I lost my job, maybe Wing Hon and I, the new owner, can talk to me and say, okay, the rental I drop. So I can pay Wing Hon the rent. I can still stay there. Maybe that's one way of looking at the situation, whereby I can still stay in my property or stay in the property, which now no longer belongs to me, but now belongs to Wing Hon. And to Wing Hon right now, oh, I've got an investment property that I'm not going to use now. I'm only going to move in later, but I got a tenant already. So this is how some of the people that I've known who buy auction properties, they work out a package with the person who used to own the property to still enjoy the property, but now no longer as the owner, but as a tenant.
I think that is also a very, very good choice, because I mean, I'm pretty sure that people that want to auction out their houses is mostly because they have like financial difficulty. Yeah, so instead we just like kick them out, so we just work out something that will be beneficial for both parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's many ways of looking at it, I think. And the challenging part about it is that we have to understand between the rights of the buyer and the rights of the lender, the banker's rights are stronger in that sense.
So I have another questions. So can you like list out basically like maybe good 5 things to look out for before buying a Lelong house?
Okay, whether you buy a Lelong house, a brand new house, or a subsale house, the first 3 are always the same. Okay, the first 3 are always the same, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, why do you want to buy the property? You must know why. Because if you do not know why, then if you do buy the property, you don't know what to do with it. Number 2, how much cash do you have? And number 3, how much cash do you need? Okay, one
Need
is
in the sense
why
of
borrowing. Okay, so number 1 is why are you buying? Number 2 is how much cash do you have? And number 3 is how much cash do you need? Meaning that how much cash you can borrow. Because when you have how much cash you have and how much cash that you need, able to borrow, that is the total amount that you can spend. If you have 100,000 but you cannot borrow any money, then the most you can buy is only 100,000. But if you buy 100,000 and you need 300,000 in renovation, you go out already. Right? If you want to make your house into a palace, you want to have chandelier, big chandelier, you want to have, fancy things, the price is very high. So 1 is why, 2 is how much do you have, number 3 is how much you can borrow, how much do you need. Okay, so these 3, whether you're buying brand new, auction, or subsale, 3. Number 4 and number 5 is where are you buying? Location. And number 5 is after you buy, okay, what is the features of the property that you're buying? Give you an example. So Wing Hon, just say I just got married. So I only have my wife and me, 2 people. So if I stay in a 400 square foot service apartment, Soho, okay ma? Because it's just my wife and me, just two of us. Imagine I kena twins. I win jackpot, I get twin children, or I get one child. Where am I going to make the child sleep? Bathtub. Okay, maybe the bed, I make a bigger bed, sleep in between. What if my child gets a bit bigger? What do? I have to have a bigger space for the child. So now you see number 4 and number 5, it's not just about the space for the child. You got to talk about where's the child going to go to school? What are the services that are needed when I stay there? Do I need a place where I can run to the amenities, the school, the shops, the supermarket, the restaurants? Are they nearby or not? If they're very, very, very far away, it's very difficult to commute. Just like my friend who bought in KLCC area, but stay very far away. It's very inconvenient for him to move up and down. And of course, after you buy all of it, then these 5 things come together. So let's repeat. Number 1, why are you buying? Number 2, how much money do you have? Number 3, how much money can you borrow? That means you are comfortable in knowing that a bank will lend you the money. Number 4, the location of the property that you want to buy. And number 5, what are the facilities in that location that can help you with your lifestyle? So if you buy in a place where there's no school and you have children, how are the children going to go to school? If you buy in a place where there's no facility for food, everyday grab food, wow, very expensive. If you like to cook and there's no place to shop for cooking for your food, where are you going to buy shopping? You're going to drive all the way to supermarket? Now, I have stayed in a country where from this person's house to the closest supermarket is 60 miles. 60 miles. Times, miles is 90 kilometers.
Wow.
One way. So I also, when I was like, wow, you stay so far away. And then I said, hey, if there's a fire or if you need an emergency or an ambulance, how? Hospital, none, 60 miles away, I say when you call them for them to come, also 1 hour. They come and find you, prep you to send you back 1 hour unless the helicopter comes out. Very challenging. So I said, but let's not talk about emergency. Let's talk about where you do your groceries. How you do your groceries. So this person told me, I do my groceries once every month. When I do my groceries, I bring my truck. It's a big truck. And they buy everything in the truck. They buy for 1-2 months, supplies. So is that the kind of lifestyle that you want? Imagine that you go all the way there, you come back. I forgot to buy salt. I forgot to buy my Maggi mee. How?
Why they want to stay so damn far though?
Well, they like the wilderness. They like the countryside. This is a very big country. I remember going to see, those signboard that say population, how big? I was very surprised to see population 2,500. 10,000 square kilometers. That means this square, inside is 10,000 square kilometers, 2,500 people only. I say, my goodness, man. You go missing there, nobody knows that you went missing.
Like a orchard or what? Or no? Or just
this is not in Malaysia, this is in the US. So this is really different. So the lifestyle there is very different. And
so
then
what
they don't
these?
what do they do?
So, yeah.
This particular person, they are into they do a lot of fishing. They take people on fishing trips. You go into the wilderness, they do fishing trips. So a bit of tourism, but they're self-sustaining. They basically don't buy much. They do a lot of art, handicraft art that they take to the summer market and then they sell the handicraft arts. But it's also a situation whereby when they buy, this one I have to tell you, because when I went there, I was very surprised to see it's a cabin. And in the outside of the cabin, there's actually a big container, huge container. I said, what's inside? Oh, that's petrol. I said, why you put your petrol here? Oh, because when we buy petrol, we buy by 1,000, 2,000 liters one. Because that is to last us maybe 6 months, 9 months. Because there's no petrol station. 60 miles, hang on. The closest town is 60 miles away. So, yeah, they buy, they put there, and so they have their own dispensary. So can you imagine if the rubber ring pecah, then the thing drips out the whole night, gone. You want to go find a replacement in the middle of winter? Good luck.
Oh,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. So,
wow, I did stay in a very small town before. It's
mm,
like I mean the town is like just one whole street lah. I mean, but
mm.
they do have like one petrol station, one pub, one place for groceries. But your side is like totally kosong kosong. Wow, how to survive?
This one is a different kind of lifestyle, completely different kind of lifestyle. Yeah, so this was a very big eye opener that people can live in a very different setting. That's why when you look at some of the things that we have in Malaysia, I think Malaysians are very lucky. We have a lot of connectivity. We have Wi-Fi that's somewhat stable. The only problem that I've only had with Kuala Lumpur of late is because of the water. The water cuts, the pollution in the river. That's pretty sad, and of course the CMCO. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, the temperature all year round is pretty warm, so you don't need to have heavy investment in cooling because you can still operate. It's uncomfortable, but you can still survive. But it becomes very, very cold, like 0 Celsius, 5 Celsius, you can't survive. I mean, you sleep outside with 0 Celsius, you'll be an ice block the next morning. And the other beautiful thing is that if you have a bit of land in Malaysia, you can plant. So if you're buying auction, sub-sale, or brand new, if you have access to land, you can still plant your chili, you can still plant your small things. At least A, it gives you some activity to do. B, it helps you clear your mind. And C, you can actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. But if you live in a country where it's winter, there's nothing that's going to grow if you put it outside because the whole ground is frozen. Yeah, so it's very different in that sense.
So they stay like a proper built house, right?
Yes, this particular person lived in a log cabin. The whole house is made of wood logs, the round logs. But they put the logs so well that the wind cannot go through. So it's very well made. Yeah. But it also is a very unique experience to stay in a log cabin because it's made of wood entirely. And it's really in the wilderness. I would consider this a wilderness.
Wow. Then if it catches fire, then die. The whole house.
Yeah, that's one thing as well. So fire is not something that you should take lightly. You should always make sure that you have enough precaution when you're putting fires nearby. I remember speaking to the owner. I said, what kind of animals do you see walking your backyard or front yard or wherever? And this person was saying, got bears. There's black bears. There's cougars that come down. I'm like, wow. So this is really wilderness kind of thing. And very Ulu, very, very unique and very Ulu experience. But it also tells you, if this place, which is very huge, I remember this person telling me they live on a 200-acre plot of land. 200 acres is huge. You cannot walk lah. 1 acre is 46,000 square feet. 200 acres is don't know how many million square feet already. It's a very big piece of property. So if this property is going on auction, would you buy? Then the question is, even though the price may be right, what about your lifestyle? Can your lifestyle accommodate that kind of property or not? If your lifestyle is okay, the property is okay, then can you make sure that your lifestyle at this age, that means just say you're 35 or 30, 30 years old you buy, up to 60, 70 years old, you're okay to stay there on. You cannot stay there 2 weeks and then say, hey, I cannot really, I want to go back. Then this property, how? So you have to have that real mindset. That's why the first thing I always say, whether you buy brand new, sub-sale or auction, is why? Why you want to buy? This is super important. You cannot run away. Okay.
Yeah, I think tonight that's it for tonight. So I mean, if you guys have any question, just comment on the comment box below, and then we will get back to you. All right. So anything else before we finish off this from Ernest? Anything else that you want to tell those first home buyer, that considering buying Lelong, because people just saying that Lelong is very easy to buy and this and that. Yeah, anything that you want to
So
mention?
when you want to buy a Lelong property, we talked about the 5 things that you need to do, right? The first one is why, how much do you have, how much do you need to borrow, location, and the property features. So these 5 is the same for all types of property, whether it's brand new Lelong or sub-sale. But the other things that you need to do, number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, these things, you need to understand how to buy a Lelong property, how to make sure that you get the best deal from a Lelong property. That one can only come by you paying the price. What is paying the price means? You need to study. Why I am encouraging you to study by yourself is because when you study and have that knowledge, nobody can cheat you, or people will find it more difficult to con you of your money. So you know what is real and what's not real. The second thing is that after you know a little bit about Lelong property, you need to probably also go and observe how the Lelong happens. Meaning that you go to see whether, how does the bidding happen? How does the winning happen? Bidding and winning are different things. You can bid but cannot win. So how does the bidding happen? How does the winning happen? And just say, for instance, I'm just exampling this. If just say you do this and people say, that's a bid. You say, no, actually, I'm just scratching my head. Oh, Wing Hon, you won already. Say follow, I die. So you need to know how you bid, because there is a number that will be given to you. You need to raise it up. So don't use that number to fan yourself. Because when you fan yourself, people may think, you're bidding. Okay? So how to bid? Winning the bid. And after you get a property, what you need to do to make sure that it's ready for you to move in. How do you deal if there's a tenant inside? How do you deal with the tenant? Okay. Even if you win and the tenant's inside, if the tenant refuses to move out, you still need to go and apply for the police or whoever to come in and help you to move the tenant out. So those are the things that you need to understand before you go into auction. It may be a good deal. It may be below the prices of all the properties in the area, so you can get a good deal. But you need to understand how to make that property work for you, meaning that to get it ready for you to move in or get it ready for you to use as an investment property. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would strongly suggest don't buy property because it's cheap only. You've got to buy something that makes sense to you. And don't wait to buy property. Buy property and wait.
Oh, this is a very good one. Yeah, and then I learned a lot of things today. Actually, today is a very interesting topic, because all the while I thought that buying Lelong is a very easy kind of thing, to make money, because you buy things on a lower market rate. But there's actually a lot of insights, informations that we have to understand and we have to know before we buy Lelong house, so that we won't get so that we won't get, it's not getting cheats, so that we know that what sort of prices or what sort of costs and especially the cash flow that we have, that we need to have. Okay, so pretty much that's it from us. So I will see you guys after 2 more weeks. All right, so thank you for watching, guys. Thank you, and thank you, Ernest, for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.